Hello, my writer friends. Welcome back to Write with Intent. I'm Mindee Arnett, science fiction and fantasy author, bringing you all the tips, tricks, and tools of the trade that I have learned on my publishing journey in order to help you on yours. Today on the vlog, we're covering that oh so important and awful topic, how to deal with a crisis of confidence. Let's get started. Okay, so I have a confession to make. This topic that I'm going to go over today, having a crisis of confidence, what you do about it, wasn't even on my radar. I have a list of topics, about, 30 or 40 vlog ideas that I want to get to, and this was not one of them until a couple of days ago when all of a sudden I found myself back into this old familiar state of a crisis of confidence. Basically, where I found myself questioning, what am I doing? Why am I trying to do this? Everything I write is junk. Everything I write is the same thing. It's a rehash. Nobody wants to read this, and so on and so on and so forth. Like, there were so many negative, bad things rolling through my mind, completely out of the blue too. It wasn't like I had gone through any kind of recent rejection, kind of like I've talked about in the past about, I've had some hard times with editors and, having my heart set on something happening and then having the rug pulled out from underneath me. There's more stories I could share that I will probably need permission to share them, but maybe in a future blog I'll be able to tell you about some of these other disappointments that have happened. A lot of them related to the film industry and the entertainment industry, and kind of where those things meet with the writing and the book industry. Anyway, so I hadn't had anything bad happen, but I just all of a sudden found myself questioning what I was doing, questioning, in particular, the new book that I'm working on that I've talked about in a recent vlog, and looking at it and going, is this any good? Is this worth it? Is this going to be something that somebody's going to want to read? Is this something that's valuable? Should I be spending my time on it? I spend a lot of time writing. It's a long, hard business, as we've talked about before, and you sacrifice a lot in order to do it. You give up time with friends and family and, Netflix and so many other things you could be doing instead of writing. And so, I think that there's some part of us that is all the time trying to make that happen. Like, I think as humans that we kind of default, to being lazy and eating lots of calories.
Am I just eating because I'm bored?
It's like when we think about, what we were like back in wild times, before we evolved to what we are now. Like, it was important that you preserved your strength and your energy and that you ate well. And I think that some of this has to do with that. I'm having a busy day, and you start to question those life choices. And I got to thinking about it, and I know that this is not something that's unique to me, or at least I don't think it is. Hopefully it's not me. I don't know, maybe. But I'm going to assume that most of you out there have had this problem too. And I don't think it's unique to writing. I've obviously had many moments of crisis of confidence just in doing this video series. It takes a little bit of, you got to be, you can't take yourself too seriously to want to do this, to sit up here and, make videos and poke fun and hopefully share some useful content. And I've been able to overcome that, and I'm pushing forward and so forth. So I know that it's not necessarily unique to writing. And the thing about it is that so many things can trigger it too, and maybe you can relate to this. Sometimes I'll get a crisis of confidence when I turn in a draft for somebody to read, or like a proposal, and you get feedback on it, and while that feedback may be good, it's maybe not as good as you wanted it to be, and then all of a sudden you're just down, you're just having these doubts. Or sometimes, I'm an impatient person. I really like to have everything now, and I respond to my emails as quickly as I can, and you send something off, and then you wait 4 or 5 days, or 4 or 5 months, depending on who the person is, and it just opens that door for that doubt to seek in. And because writing is such a long process, there are so many opportunities for that doubt monster to get in and take a hold of you. And he's like the Cookie Monster, except that he is eating all of your confidence. So yeah, little things can trigger them, just as easily as the big things. Obviously, the rejections are big ones. And if you're an aspiring writer or a not published yet writer, which is more like I like to think of it, because the truth is we're all writers, whether you've published or not. And if you're still reaching towards your publication goal, the lack of encouragement is a real thing. Like, there's a lot of rejection, a lot of failure, and you really have to learn and find ways to overcome it. But I'm here to tell you, probably not what you want to hear, but that doesn't go away. Like, once you get into publishing, there's just more of that to deal with and to contend with. So it really is a skill, I think, that, while not a writing skill, is a valuable life skill for everyone, but in particular for creative people. And when I started thinking about this topic, what advice could I give to you guys about how to deal with this, or even how I deal with it? Because, obviously I deal with it because I'm still writing and publishing despite many, many, many heartbreaks and setbacks and moments of doubt. And I had to really sit down and do some soul searching. And I thought that there was probably two ways that you can deal with this from a tactile sense. So, the first example, I got to thinking about my friends that are in the science fields. I have a lot of lovely lady friends right now that are scientists, like for real. Like, they go and they run stuff in the lab and they take measurements, and they're just so cool. Like,
Holtzman, Virgo, avid skier, gluten full, and 100% jazzed to meet you.
Like, I can't imagine doing that as for a living and that being a lifestyle. But you often hear them talk about, about evidence, and how evidence is what we should store, what they store their faith on and their belief in. Like, if the evidence says that it's true, then it's true, and that's just all there is to it. And that is a really valuable point of view to have. So when I was having this moment of crisis, I had to thought to myself, well, the evidence suggests that I'm not wasting my time because, okay, I've published, 7 books. I've got 2 more coming. I am currently under contract. My last books have done better than my previous books, so I'm obviously getting better, one would hope, or luckier at least. And I get positive feedback from readers pretty often, and it's wonderful. Sometimes they'll be on a book that I haven't thought about in years. I just got a Instagram message from someone who picked up Avalon for the first time and loved it. And I love hearing these things. So there's, they're not like it's not like I'm winning awards or these massive whatever, but there is kind of a regular inflow of evidence that suggests that I'm not wasting my time. And I have the luxury of being able to rely on that. Not that it actually makes it any better, but, if I'm going to take a scientific approach to it, that's one way you can do it. Now, the problem with that, though, is that what do you do if you're not already publishing and you're in that beginning stages and you're facing the rejection and the huge hurdle to be able to get published? So, just to give you an idea, for those of you, if you haven't actually gotten to the querying agents part, or if you're planning on not querying agents, but to self-publish, my agent has talked in the past about how she'll sit on a subway ride and open up her email and just read and just scroll, through story ideas, and she'll know within a minute or two whether or not it's something she's interested in. And she's got hundreds and thousands of them weekly that she does. So, the bar is high. There's a lot of people trying to do this. There's a lot of reason to have self-doubt and to go, well, gosh, of all these 100,000 people trying to win, representation by this agent, why me? There's so many kinds of doubt. So you have to learn to be able to overcome these crises of confidence without having any evidence that what you're doing is viable and worth your time. You really have to have faith in yourself. Okay. I'm just going to say it. I mean, I'm not trying to make a science versus faith argument, but I'm saying that you really, really do need both. And especially when you're starting out, the belief in yourself and the confidence in yourself is absolutely crucial to develop and to pull out when you need it. And
I know that sounds like a cat poster, but it's true.
There are many ways you can do it. And my preferential way, which is probably not the healthiest, is that I just kind of ignore it. Like I compartmentalize it. I put it away in its little box and I get back down to the work. So whenever I actually get down to my story writing and I'm working on my word count for the day, no matter how much doubt I've experienced that day or the previous days, as soon as I break through and get into the groove of writing, it all just goes away. So, yeah, that's not healthy. I'm ignoring doubts and trying, comments, whatever. But if you're still getting the work done, if you're still making progress, then you're overcoming that crisis of confidence without even worrying about it, without, you're doing the things that you're going to have to do to get that evidence that's going to validate your belief in doing this. And if that's not working, hey, rely on friends. Ask them, say, hey, when you read this and tell me some good things about it. It's okay to send it off to a critique partner and say, I don't want to know any of the negative stuff. I just want to know what's working. And I firmly believe that we learn more by identifying the things we do well than we do by someone pointing out all the ways in which we fail or the ways that we're not as good. Now, you do need to know both, but it is okay. It is perfectly okay to focus on your strengths and your positives and to use that to kind of fuel you, to help you to look at those things that maybe aren't so great so that you can develop the skills and the techniques you need to have that confidence moving forward, regardless of the rejections that are coming out. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful. I hope it is. I mean, I guess it's kind of a no-brainer. You have crisis of confidence, right? Anyways, you don't think you can do this thing, do it anyways. It's going to happen. And the worst that's going to happen is you're going to get better. You're going to get better at whatever it is you're trying to do, no matter how many times you fail at it. But eventually, if you keep going and you don't give up, you're going to break through. And I say, let's just go back to the theme of this whole series and, write with intention, live with intention, including the idea that what you're doing is valuable and that you don't suck and that someday you're going to be able to turn on that song that says, look at me now, to the naysayers, assuming that you even have them. And honestly, if you're like me, your biggest naysayer is probably the one that lives up in here. But you can definitely overcome that just by simply don't worry about the belief in it. Don't even think about it. Just, focus on the story itself. Focus on getting the writing done. Focus on those daily writing goals and the way it makes you feel to have accomplished it. Focus on making those good decisions in your story and those intentful decisions. And I promise that the doubt is going to fall away, and that when the next big hurdle comes your way, when the next rejection comes, the next disappointment, whatever it is, at a minimum, you're going to have your skills as a writer that you've learned by getting down to the work every day to carry you through those doubts. And then before you know it, the doubt's going to fall away and you're going to be doing okay again. It's kind of like riding out that wave of self-doubt. Anyways, guys, I hope that was helpful. Again, this really wasn't what I was planning to talk about right now in this juncture, but I do think it's super important. And I just want to be as encouraging as possible. And just tell you, you're not alone. You're not alone. And if you'd like to chime in down below or send me a message, I'm happy to give you all the help I can to try and get you past these really, really hard times. So yeah, take it easy. I hope you write with intention, live with tension, and I will see you next time. Bye.